What's up, everyone? Tara Roberts here with Win Daily, and we are talking NFL player props for Underdog for week 10. I've got 10 props for you this week. Before I dive in, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, check out the description below for a link to sign up to play on Underdog. 100% deposit match up to $500. Now let's go ahead and dive into the props. We will start off with Will Levis. We are taking the over on his passing yards at 220.5. Will Levis is officially the starter for the Tennessee Titans for the rest of the season, and if Tennessee has faith in Levis, so should we. But I do have some stats to back up why we should have faith in Levis. This easy justification that we have here is that he has had 238 and 262 passing yards in his two starts, and neither of those matchups was exactly a layup. But this week is the definition of a layup matchup. Tampa Bay has allowed the fifth most passing yards on the season. And over the past 4 weeks, they have given up an insane 470 yards to CJ Stroud, 324 yards to Josh Allen, even 250 yards to Desmond Ridder, and 353 yards to Jared Goff. I think this trend continues and Levis passes his line of 220 and a half passing yards with ease. Take the over. Now, naturally, if Levis is going to throw for volume, we want to correlate it with taking the over on DeAndre Hopkins receiving yards at 61.5. It's not a lock by any means. In a game where Levis had 238 yards, Hopkins caught 128 of those. But last week, while Levis threw for 226 yards, or 262 yards, Hopkins only had 60 yards. So it is technically possible for Levis to hit the over and Hopkins to not actually get his, but the volume opportunity was there. Hopkins had 11 targets last week and only caught 4 of them. The matchup wasn't ideal, but I expect a stronger connection this week and a much easier matchup, and we want the over on Hopkins. Now, sticking with this game, I would love to lean into Baker Mayfield attacking the Titans' vulnerable pass defense, but the problem here is the Titans' defense has kind of flipped recently. Granted, this is because they face some struggling quarterbacks, but the yardage just hasn't been there. And running backs have actually been performing fairly decently against them. So I want Rachaad White over 79.5 rushing plus receiving yards. White has surpassed that mark for 3 straight games now. He is on a roll, and rushing plus receiving yards helps cover us on all scenarios that could happen here. Now, another game that I want us to look at is the Chargers versus the Lions game. While everyone has their eye on Cincinnati and Houston, I actually think that the Chargers and the Lions is easier to predict here because both teams are healthy. It has the highest point total of the week, and after facing a nightmare matchup with the Jets in week 9, this is the matchup that will feel like a cakewalk to the Chargers offense. Detroit's pass defense appears better than it really is. They've had a lot of layups at opposing quarterbacks, Desmond Ridder, Jordan Love, Bryce Young, and Jimmy G. But even guys like Young and Love had some of their better yardage totals against the Lions. I like this as a nice bounce back week for Justin Herbert to hit the over on his passing yards at 260.5. And we want to correlate this with his wide receiver 1, Keenan Allen, 2 different ways. The over on his receptions at 6.5 and the over on his yards at 79.5. The yards is on the riskier side, so if you want to lean away from that one and just lean into the receptions, that is the safer route, but I do think that we can hit both here. Now, on the opposite side, I want the over on Jared Goff's passing yards at 264.5 and his attempts at 33.5. The Chargers have been steadily allowing volume through the air, and there is zero reason that Jared Goff can't do the exact same thing that Zach Wilson did last week. And with the attempts, for the most part, Goff has surpassed that amount all season long. The games where he has thrown less than 35 attempts were against Atlanta, Green Bay, and Carolina. You can probably see the commonality between those teams and why the Chargers are not the same. So naturally, we want to pair this with Amon-Ra St. Brown's receiving yards and take the over at 83.5. And we also want to go with Sam Laporta's over as well on receiving yards at 50.5. Now, that's 10 right there, but you know what? Let's do one bonus prop. I also like Josh Jacobs over 66.5 rushing yards against the Jets. Throwing on the Jets is an absolute no-go, and with Aiden O'Connell at quarterback, it's even more so a no-go. The Jets could focus on stopping the run and try to force O'Connell to throw, but I lean towards the Raiders just force-feeding Jacobs. Even if he's not very efficient, sheer volume should get him to the over. And that wraps things up. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, remember to sign up to play on Underdog today. The link is below in the description. 100% deposit match up to $500.